Goku stared up at his brother hovering some distance away.
I have always preferred a fair fight, even for those who don't deserve it, so here.
He said as he threw a sensu bean at Raditz, which he unceremoniously blasted.
Like I will fall for your tricks, you traitor!
Goku kept his glare as he walked back to Piccolo with another bean in hand. The evil prince didn't seem too pleased as he turned away from the outstretched bean before glancing down at his now missing arm. Reluctantly, Piccolo turned back and opened his mouth as Goku dropped the bean. Raditz couldn't believe what happened next as his scouter suddenly registered the Namekian's power level rising once again as with a sickening squelch, his torso started to grow back. He had heard of the Namekian's regenerative abilities, but they were not supposed to be anywhere at this level. Piccolo's arm burst out of his regenerating torso as he slowly pulled himself to his feet and started to stretch his arms.
I thought I told you not to interfere,
he said with a gruff as his eyes set on his opponent once more.
I didn't interfere with the fight, but I wasn't going to allow an execution.
Piccolo just scoffed at him.
And the bean? Giving it to him would be troublesome. We can just kill him now.
But Goku just glared at him before looking back at his brother.
We won't stoop to his level to have a shallow victory.
Piccolo just scowled at that. Goku's pride was going to get someone killed one day.
So that consumable is a means to restore your energy. Isn't that interesting?
Raditz shouted at them as he slowly descended cautiously.
Yeah, so take it.
Goku said, as he threw another one at Raditz, which he didn't blast to smithereens as he caught it and assessed it with his scouter.
You truly are an imbecile, you know, giving me this?
He started laughing loudly as the two Z-fighters watched him cautiously. He smirked at them before throwing the bean into his mouth. He felt his power rise almost immediately as his strength increased to be even greater than it was before, something that was not lost to Piccolo and Goku.
I wanted to fight you at your best. That way when I beat you there could be no complaints.
Raditz just laughed again.
Truly you are a fool, but no worries. If I can't retrieve my brother, your head should be fine enough.
Without warning, Raditz charged again, fist meeting fist with Goku's, as a burst of air blew surrounding dust away. Piccolo just hummed before moving away as the two interlocked their fingers, grunting as they pushed against each other, trying to overpower the other.
Come on, Kakarot. Give up now and bow before me and I might let your spawn live.
The blank expression that Goku had been wearing broke as he pulled Raditz forward, causing him to lose his guard before jumping up and catching with a knee to his chin that sent him reeling back.
Kakarot!
He screamed as he charged back at his brother. The two clashed, astonishing all the Z-fighters. They knew Goku had grown stronger in the time chamber, but to be this strong was unbelievable. The two sped off before batting each other away with enough power that it sent shivers up their bones.
Is that really Goku?
Krillin asked, not really believing what he was seeing, and neither could Master Roshi as he watched on silently. But for the others, this was just amazing. That's right, Goku! Kick his ass! Chi-Chi shouted towards the battlefield after looking at the screen. The boys could not keep up with the way that their dad and uncle were moving. They were so powerful. Piccolo watched the fight closely with his arms folded over his chest, standing near the crater. He had slipped again. If Goku hadn't been here, it could have been curtains for him. And that infuriated him. He briefed a glance at the pod in the crater where the two boys were being held before looking back onto the fight. They weren't his concern. Goku and Raditz's fists collided as Goku was matching him blow for blow, even somehow managing to dodge his tail when he threw it in. But this time Kakarot held it when he used it to attack and squeeze down. Nothing happened, and the small note of disappointment on Kakarot's face was enough to raise his spirits ever slightly.
What? Disappointed? Did you really think that little trick I used on your spawn would work on me? You offend me with your ignorance.
They clashed again as everyone looked on worriedly, but Bulma, seeing the look on Goku's face when he stood still long enough for the cameras on her drone to catch them, slightly eased. He looked calm, something she had only seen when he fought King Piccolo, but it was pained slightly. Bulma knew Goku's love for fighting no matter what the challenge. Even when he had almost been killed by King Piccolo, he had bounced back, cheering on how amazing it was. Even in the moment, he savored it. But she knew what would probably not cause him to enjoy this encounter as he had others. This was supposedly his family, and with the way Raditz had acted within a day of his arrival, she knew he knew that he had to be dealt with. Bulma remembered even how after defeating King Piccolo, Goku had not been the same for some time, no matter how many times everyone told him he did the right thing. Taking a life was not something he ever did lightly. She knew she needed to know more about these Saiyans, as the supposed brother called himself. Her drone camera panned slightly to the right into the massive crater with a ball-like pod in it. She wanted to sneak by the fight and get the boys, but distracting Goku by giving him someone else to protect while he was fighting for his life seemed stupid. The others had told her that's where they could feel Gohan and Trunks' ki coming from, and they were fine. And that pod, from what Raditz had said, it carried a lot of information on who they were. They had to get it too. The sky was alight with the battle between the two brothers as they pursued each other, one with grace and the other with rage.
Stop running, you fool!
Raditz shouted, before sending out a continuous, seemingly never-ending barrage of ki blasts that after a few seconds of blasting the place he had last seen his brother, he stopped. He was breathing heavily, his scouter trying to pick up anything, and from the smoke emerged Goku seemingly unscathed.
But how?
He was shocked, but his anger quickly pushed it away.
Die! Crusher cannon!
He shouted as he fired with a lot of power. It was too much, too, and Goku knew he had to intercept before it hurt someone in the distance.
Kamihami! Ah!
Their blast met, sending showers of blue and yellow in the sky, leaving the others shocked. The light faded, but the two brothers remained. Raditz and Goku stared at each other as they breathed out a little heavier, but the latter easily composed himself, much to Raditz's annoyance. Goku and Raditz collided again, sending the latter careening before crashing into the ground. Raditz was fuming because how was this possible? His strength had grown after the first with that Namekian. But other than taking a couple of deep breaths, his brother barely seemed winded by the fight and the look he was giving him, as if he, Raditz, was beneath him, made him seethe.
Brother, I give up. You're far too strong for me. Please forgive me.
Bulma nearly fell out of her chair, and the other Z-fighters were shocked as they just couldn't believe it. Raditz got up shakily before falling on one knee some distance away in a form of submission.
We are brothers. We should not be fighting each other.
Raditz's eyes were facing the ground, and neither Goku nor the others could see them. And behind him, a plan was forming because he couldn't let this go. They were watching. He glanced up at his brother, falling dramatically on both knees.
Please, brother.
Goku was just as confused. He had been fighting with his supposed brother, getting through his defenses with practiced ease after having watched Piccolo, but delivering deep blows whenever he made contact with his brother.
You hurt a lot of people, Raditz, and you have to answer for that.
Goku said with an edge to his voice, trying to suppress his anger.
Then you threaten my family, my friends, and everyone on this planet.
At that, Raditz scowled. His brother just had a little more power and now was acting as if he were an elite. He would show him. He would show them all. Raditz looked towards Goku's waist to make sure that he really had no way to stop him if he used it, and when he saw nothing, a smile took over his features for a moment.
I won't fall for your lie, Raditz. You have to pay for that. And maybe one day, the world can forgive you. Maybe I can forgive you.
Raditz began to laugh loudly, and that seemed to put everyone on edge.
As if I would ever beg for forgiveness from a failure like you. I didn't need your forgiveness. I just needed time.
From behind his back, Raditz chucked what looked to be a ball of ki at Goku, which his brother batted away easily, but the sinister smile on his face never faded as the ki, much to everyone's shock, seemed to avoid hitting the ground and then launch into the sky at speed.
You see, brother, you are no longer a Saiyan, only a mockery of our great race, nothing but a low-class failure not deserving to live, and you have the audacity to defy me. Now you will meet your end.
The Kai ball reached up into the sky before stopping, and everyone waited with bated breath as it stood still. The silence around the battlefield seemed to deafen. Before it started to bulge and grow, first slowly and then faster and faster and larger and larger. Goku felt it before turning back to his brother that was laughing hysterically as his body started to enlarge unstably, parts of his growing to large sizes, as hair started to sprout all over his body and his eyes seemed to redden. Some of the Z fighters were confused and horrified, but those that knew definitely were worried. Oh, no, it can't be. He really is his brother. Here it comes. A thunderous roar sounded stunning all who were watching as right before their eyes, Raditz had transformed into a great ape, the monster Goku still saw in his dreams, the one that had killed Grandpa Gohan.
But no, it can't be. He wasn't here then. It was only me. I was the monster that killed Grandpa.
The very thought made Goku freeze as he just stared blankly at the monster before him. Everything around him deafened, and he didn't even register Piccolo's warning till he felt himself smacked by the tail, sending him crashing into a mountain. His vision was blurry, and his ears were ringing as he tried to get a sense of where he was. "What the hell happened? Why was he just standing there?" Chi-Chi shouted, but Bulma knew the reason why. "Chi-Chi, remember what Goku said about the monster that killed his grandpa?" It took a moment to register, but Chi-Chi immediately understood as she turned back to the battlefield. Goku stood unsteadily as he watched Piccolo trying to dodge the giant ape and failing before he was batted away, crashing into the ground close to him. The demon prince got up shakily as he stared at Goku, who now had his gi torn and covered in dirt, completely different from a mere moment ago.
I told you we should have killed him,
Piccolo said with a scowl as they both turned back to the hulking monster that was looking down at them.
Now, brother, the real fight begins.